Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Niche Pursuits News. I, of course, am your host, Spencer Hawes, over at nichepursuits.com. And I've got my faithful co-host here with me, Jared. How you doing?
Good, Spencer. Good to have you back. You had a week off to rest from the news of the week, but you're back in the hot seat.
Yeah, I did. I was on spring break with my family. We went up to Vancouver, Canada, which was fun. It's a cool city up there. First time I've been there, and so we enjoyed that. Had a week off. But you and Josh did a great job on the episode covering the news. And believe it or not, we've got a whole slew of new news this week to cover, as always happens each and every week.
And a couple of weird niches.
For sure. There's no shortage. I started keeping a spreadsheet, actually, of the weird niche sites that I run across, or most of them are coming, as you know, from Twitter threads and Facebook groups, because when you get the collective network together, they know a lot more weird niche sites than I do on my own. And so I'm starting to keep a spreadsheet. So I don't think we're going to have a shortage at all in future weeks. So be sure to stick around for at least 2 weird niche sites that we're going to share here later.
Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
Do you remember this campaign? It was all over the news. It is the most intelligent royal campaign. With over 100 links generated in the world's biggest online publications, this is one of the most viral PR campaigns of 2021. This is how we've done it. The methodology was pretty simple. We looked at the QS World University rankings for the institutions attended by key members of the royal family to discover which royal is the brightest of all. Meghan Markle came out on top, followed by Kate Middleton and Prince William. We put these findings in a press release and sent it to mainstream media and journalists who write about royals. From Russia to the UK, the US, Vietnam and Japan, this story got massive coverage, landing over 100 links and created a massive buzz on social media. Simple research, but a great story that journalists love to write about. I hope this will put you on fire and will give you inspiration.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
But first, we're going to talk about a couple of the headlines. And one actually just happened today, within the hour, basically, of when we're hitting record on this. Google, of course, made another update. And so, Jared, what's going on with that update?
Yeah, boy, you're right, man. You have to be able to think on your feet when you're doing this style of a podcast. It kind of just got announced a little while ago. We're recording this on a Wednesday this week, but the April 2023 reviews update. And I'm going to kind of read some stuff here from Marie Haynes, who is a wonderful follow on Twitter. She really documents a lot of the Google updates, along with a couple others like Lily Ray, who we've had on the podcast before. But first out of the gate, she says, not a typo. The products review update seems to have gotten renamed now to the reviews update, and they've expanded the documentation. So let me just read it really quickly. Fresh to me as well, by the way. So the documentation used to say publishing high-quality product review pages on your e-commerce or product review site can help shoppers learn about a product before they purchase, right? So these are the type of articles that these updates impact. Now the documentation has changed. You'll notice the word product is only mentioned in passing as a part of a larger group of articles and content that they're now looking at with this update. Publishing high-quality reviews can help people learn about things they are considering, such as products, services, destinations, games, movies, and other topics. And of course, we have the other topics, keeping it nice and open-ended. So clearly, right. I mean, it was probably our 4th or 5th product review update. There, I said it, product review update. It looking like it's expanded into just generic reviews all across the board.
Right. It's interesting. So Google is continuing to kind of expand what they're covering in these types of updates, these algorithm updates. I think they're trying to sort of tighten control on just who's an expert, how do you write an expert review, and how do they rank that and give guidelines for that in the SERPs.
You have it up in front of you. I mean, we don't know. It's an hour old, but who knows if this update will have that significant impact on Experience, the newest addition to the EEAT family that they announced back in, I think, December or January. And we've been wondering how that would roll itself out and how that would show itself. So, who knows?
Yeah. So you're not going to make some predictions which sites are going to get a boost or going to get a hit on this, are you?
I mean, I could take a wild guess that would just be based on evidence of the past about which types of sites might win. But no, I don't know how this is. I mean, obviously, whenever we see them say like da and other topics, it's like, well, man, this could cover a whole wide array of things.
Right. I was trying to catch you in a pickle there. So I think that's probably the way to go, is kind of vague as Google is vague. They update their guidelines. They say, okay, this update's rolling out. We don't really know what's going to happen. And so maybe next week we'll have a little bit of insight. We can look at what sites were hit with the update. So if you're listening, just check your Google Search Console, your Google Analytics. Maybe wait a couple of days and start to compare how your traffic is for that day with the day of the previous week, right? So if it's Thursday tomorrow, compare it with the previous Thursday, kind of see if there was any changes, and then you can start to dial in, was it a product review that was article that was impacted? And if it was, you can start to do some research there. So that's about all I have to say about the Google reviews update, just because it's so fresh. We don't know much. We just know it's happening.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. And I'm sure we'll address it next week. And your survey that we talked about 2 weeks ago was interesting, right? Like that you talked about, you asked over 200 or 250, something around there. But website owners responded, up and down 50-50. And so we'll have to see if this one, kind of goes the same route.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's jump into what I guess I'm calling our headline story. I think we're going to spend sort of the most of our time on this. Any one topic will be this topic. So Ezoic is in the news. They had an unfortunate experience where an employee tried to embezzle or tried to steal $9 million from what I understand. That is a lot of money. This is a story that was published on businessinsider.com. You have to be a premium member to see the article. Otherwise, I'd share it on my screen. I'm not a paying subscriber of Business Insider, but it's been kind of republished and reshared in other places enough to get all the details. Basically, from my understanding of reading this story, there was an employee that had access to Ezoic's actual Google AdSense account, right? So Ezoic is an intermediary, right? You go to their platform. They actually manage the Google AdSense and get paid directly from Google for all the publishers' earnings, and then Ezoic distributes that out to all the publishers. And so this particular employee had access to the Google AdSense account and tested a couple of times changing their bank account information and then immediately unchanging that to see if any triggers would go off within Ezoic. And no triggers went off. And so the next month or whenever it was, I believe this was in December, that this happened. They changed the bank account Ezoic from Ezoic's to their personal bank account, and $9 million for the month of December was deposited into this employee's personal bank account from Google AdSense.
And it was a straight shot, right? It wasn't one of these like, $1,000 here, $10,000 there. It was just a straight shot, $9 million.
I believe so. I believe that's, Google pays on a monthly basis.
Yep.
That's how much Google owed Ezoic. Boom, $9 million. Now, where the employee went wrong they already went wrong, clearly.
Where they got caught.
Where they got caught. Yes. If we were all the criminal mind, we would have done this better. But this particular employee then tried to buy physical bars of gold. They tried to buy $9 million of gold in one fell swoop. And so the gold company, this triggered something to them. They notified the FBI. The FBI did some research, found out what happened. And of course, at this point, Ezoic saw that they're missing $9 million. And so fortunately for Ezoic, the money has been recovered. The employee is, he's in a lot of trouble. He's in some serious hot water, right? FBI involved. There's legal actions proceeding, and all of this is happening. So that's the big news. Do you have any nuance to add to that, or any additional points to add to that, Jared?
Well, I mean, I know that, I don't know the exact timeline of it all, but there have been layoffs with Ezoic. Those layoffs, seem to have timed out somewhat near the December and then ongoing time frame. So clearly, I mean, obviously $9 million, I guess for some companies wouldn't matter, but for most companies, that's going to be something you notice. But yeah, I mean, it had implications for them right out of the get-go, it sounds like. And it sounds like some different team members of Ezoic lost their job over what might be cash flow issues stemming from this.
Right, exactly. And that's actually, and I'm just sharing a screen of a Twitter thread. If people want to read about that, this is a nice summary of everything that happened, basically, that we talked about. But I actually learned about the Ezoic story a couple of weeks ago before this Business Insider article was published. I didn't know all the details, but I got an email from Freestar. Now, Freestar is a very rapidly growing programmatic ad tech company, very similar. They're a direct competitor of Ezoic. And Freestar reached out to me and basically said their title was like Major Problems at Ezoic, something like that. And then they linked to a Twitter thread, which I will share here. Says Ezoic is getting brutalized on Glassdoor right now, which basically alludes to what you were just saying, that after all this happened, some employees were laid off. I believe it's something like 10% of the company was laid off. We don't know if it was directly related to this, but probably. Yeah. There's been a lot of tech layoffs, and so maybe there's some of that going on, right? There's just some changes going on in the tech industry. A little bit hard time for some ad companies, but I think, now that we know everything that's going on, you miss $9 million for a period of time, things happen, right, at the company. And so it is true that Ezoic is being drugged through the ringer here. This thread is not nice. A couple of former employees are coming out, complaining about the executive team being arrogant and rude, yada, yada, yada. I won't go into everything, but there's two sides to it. The CEO has responded and said, hey, there's not a lot of basis for what's going on. So I don't know all the details, and I'm not taking sides. We're just kind of reporting here that Ezoic really is kind of getting drugged through the ringer. They did get $9 million stolen by a previous employee. And so I had kind of heard about this a couple of weeks before the Business Insider article. And
you did a good job keeping quiet. I didn't hear about it from you. So
I decided to just keep quiet until I knew more details. And
always a good move.
I didn't want to be the one to say, oh, it sounds like XYZ is happening, until I knew XYZ is happening. And so I thought this would be a good time to also kind of share some of my history with Ezoic, because I kind of do have a unique history in terms of I've worked very directly with some of the executive team, in particular the CMO there. So if people followed along with Niche Site Project 4, they will know that I monetized my site with Ezoic, owntheyard.com. And so I talked about Ezoic a lot just because that was the ad network that I was using. They did a good job for that particular site. What people may not know is that I was actually their very first, what they call E3P member, which is essentially their influencer program. And so this was a program that they created. I won't say for me, but I was the very first member of the program. and so I was the very first influencer of Ezoic. They created the program. I was the first to join, and then, they went out and recruited other influencers, bloggers, YouTubers, to sort of be influencers. Now, I will just say that there was not a lot of specific requirements. Like, I didn't have to speak positively of Ezoic. I made sure to be very clear that I want to be honest. I don't want to be locked into something where I have to say Ezoic is good. And so if you actually look at the history of niche pursuits, I then tried Ezoic on a mom blog that I bought, and there was definitely some rough periods there. I wrote a very candid blog post that people can read. I should have pulled that up. Could share that on the screen about moving from AdThrive to Ezoic. There was definitely some bumps along the way. Took them a few months to figure out, but they did figure it out. And then I tried to get Ezoic installed on nichepursuits.com. The traffic grew quite a bit last year, and so I wanted to start monetizing with display ads. And so I started to go through their process, but I'm very picky with nichepursuits.com. And I have a whole setup, and just every setup that Ezoic wanted with their plugin and with their speed optimization tools just didn't quite work with my particular tech stack, right? I'm using WP Cache and other things that I've done to optimize my site. I'm on a custom theme. And I tried really hard to work with the team. And long story short, we couldn't make it work. And after just going through some of that experience of like some things that Ezoic can do and can't do, and again, my site is a custom site. I'm very particular, right? And so I have some quirks for sure, but there was just some things they couldn't get to work on their end. And because of that, I chose not to use Ezoic on nichepursuits.com. I'm currently using Mediavine. I'm thrilled with Mediavine. They're doing a great job. And kind of all the experiences as I look at Ezoic over the years, I chose to leave the influencer program that Ezoic has. This is a few months ago, right, that happened. And it was a tough decision because you do get paid to be a member of the influencer program. And so I chose to leave those payments. I'm no longer, hey, I couldn't in full faith, going through the experiences that I had, still be an influencer, right? So I do want to be very clear, though, that I don't think people should avoid Ezoic at all costs, right? I think it works well for some sites, particularly starter sites, right? If you're just getting started, you want to monetize, and you don't have a custom setup, you don't have a lot of quirks going on, with your site like I do, Ezoic can be great. And maybe that's all you'll ever need, right? But there are, for certain situations, there are some difficulties that Ezoic may have. So, boy, did I say it all there, Jared?
I feel like I want to put on my interviewer hat.
Yeah.
Ask you some questions. I'm curious, and you probably don't know the exact date. I didn't ask you this in advance. Like, when did the program get created? When did that all start?
Ooh, I should have looked this up. I feel like it was like 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's been around for a while, yeah.
Yeah,
that would have been before Niche Site Project 4, which you talked about how you did have Ezoic on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was before or like right during. It was very similar time frame.
Yep.
I don't remember which one came first. But yeah, I was a member of the program there. And what I was going to show is just how hard leaving the program was, right? Because they did pay me. I was featured on the Ezoic homepage. If you go to the homepage, I was featured with a quote, had a nice link. They're a DR, 89 maybe, something like that. Very high. So it was a great link. But when I left the program, I said goodbye to that link as well. And so they've got somebody else featured on that site. So not easy to leave, but that's kind of the whole story.
I will say, to Ezoic's point, like, when I started my first website back in 2017. I don't know Ezoic and all that, but I do know that they did not have the lowered traffic requirements. They didn't have those back then. They were at least 10,000, maybe 25,000. And so I couldn't get on an ad network for the first year or so. Now, what's interesting about it is that I wasn't looking to monetize via ads back then. It didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't quite as in vogue to monetize via ads back then. This is 2017, 2018. But I will tell you that after a year of really struggling to get the kind of affiliate income I wanted, I realized I had enough traffic from Pinterest at that time. Really dating myself here. From Pinterest at that time to get on an ad network. And that first check from an ad network was so invigorating to, finally it paid a lot more than I was making in affiliate income. And it really gave me a good shot of energy to keep going. And that site ended up growing quite a bit. So it is really great. And I know a lot of people don't put ads in the beginning on their site because they don't want, speed and all those kind of things. But it's great that Ezoic now does have those that ability to put ads on your site right away when you start getting traffic, and you can kind of start seeing income coming in. I mean, we interviewed Shane a couple weeks ago, and he talked about getting that first 11 cents, and how motivating.
That's right.
So, I think that it, like you said, it's balanced, but it's dating myself. But going back 5-6 years, I didn't have the option of doing that. And looking back, it would have been great to have that opportunity to put that on my site right out of the gate and get that shot of energy every day, even if it's only a couple pennies.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, if I were getting started, I probably would, right? After my site is getting a little bit of traffic, I'd probably go to Ezoic and use that. In fact, I still do have Ezoic on a couple of sort of starter sites that I have, right? So certainly not trying to say Ezoic's good or bad. It's just for your particular situation, they may or may not be the perfect choice, right?
I would sure like that homepage link, though. I'll tell you that.
I'm missing that, for sure. If nothing else, for like social validation, it's like just kind of cool to like be featured on a large website's homepage.
I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And, of course, being the SEO, the way it actually worked is they actually took a quote from one of my blog posts and they put it there. I didn't even know, which was fine, of course. Gosh, yes, please, feature me. But they didn't have a link to my website. And so I said, hey, why don't you throw a link into my website? And they happily obliged, right? And so I guess that's actually kind of a cool SEO tactic is you can look for unlinked mentions of yourself or your brand. You can kind of do a Google search or whatever, and then reach out to all those places that are already mentioning you and get a link. So that landed me a DR88 link.
And another tactic is, again, talking to people who are running, say, affiliate websites. You might have products you refer on your product reviews. You might have relationships with companies. Maybe go one step further. In this case, they actually took a quote or took something and put it on their website. But I've had success reaching out to brands that I already recommend and saying, hey, can I give you a testimonial? And can you put it on your homepage? And can you link to me? And it's, it's not 100%, but it does work as well.
Yeah. Yep. It absolutely does. So, display ads and Ezoic and AdThrive and Mediavine, there's so many interesting topics to really cover. I will give my 2 cents on the discussion of, which ad network pays more.
Oh boy. Okay. We're gonna wade into this one here. Huh?
Yeah. A little bit. I'm actually going to defend Ezoic's position a little bit.
Okay.
I am not a paid influencer of Ezoic.
You don't even have a homepage link anymore.
I don't even have a homepage link. And there's a lot of scandalous things happening apparently over at Ezoic, rogue employee at least, right? But I don't know if it's Ezoic's position per se, but I will just say that there's really no reason you should make any more money on any ad network or Google AdSense. They should all pay the same because I'm going to make up a statistic, right? But 90 to 95% of all the ads on any website come from the Google Ad Exchange. That's true of Mediavine, Ezoic. If you want to start an ad company, you go to the Google Ad Exchange. That's where all the individual companies go, which is Google AdSense, right? Google Ad Exchange, Google AdSense, it's the same thing, right? So if you sign up for Google AdSense, you already have access to 95% of all the ads that Ezoic, AdThrive, Mediavine. They're not going different places to get different ads. It's the Google Ad Exchange. There is an additional, call it 5%. They have unique ad partnerships, right, directly. So there are some differences, but very little. So overall, you should make the same no matter where you're at. Now, why do you make more or less? Depending on what ad network you're on? Well, it's because of the ad setup, the number of ads, the programmatic display of ads, how you do it, right? Most of us as individuals, if we get Google AdSense, we're going to spend hours and hours trying to do what we think is optimal placements, and we're probably going to be wrong, right? Whereas if we just go to Mediavine, they already do this on thousands of sites, boom. And so you're going to make more if you go to Mediavine, not because their ads pay higher, just because they know what they're doing better, right? That's my opinion. And then Ezoic maybe will pay more over the long term, potentially, because they do a lot of programmatic placement, right? So
their claim to fame is machine learning and enhancements over time and that sort of thing.
Right. So maybe this is a whole can of worms, but I hear so many people say that, okay, you're going to earn the least on this network, and then you're going to move to this network, and then you're going to finally get the high-paying ads on AdThrive, right? It's just not really the case. I moved from AdThrive to Ezoic and had some bumps along the way, as I explained, and wrote a whole blog post, but Ezoic ended up paying more, right? So do what's right for your site, but I just think it's an interesting nugget for people to think about. That kind of a point I always like to hammer is like, they're all getting their ads from the same place. It's a big pie. It's called the Google Ad Exchange.
Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a crazy campaign. How to sleep on your back. This campaign got us links in Huffington Post, Glamour magazine, Mirror, and lots of other great news publications. Let me show you how we've done it. It was so simple. Our sleep client provided us with expert commentary about how to train yourself to fall asleep on your back. They also gave advice on why it's best to sleep on your back. Once we've had this information, we went to Muckrack and searched for journalists that consistently write about sleep and well-being. We've sent these journalists the advice provided by the client, and within 1 day the links started flowing in. Glamour magazine, a DR81 website, picked it up. Huffington Post, DR88, Mirror UK, DR90. A massive avalanche of links blasted through our client's website with this simple yet effective campaign about how to sleep on your back. I hope this inspires, and I hope you'll use this technique to land massive links to your or your client's website.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now. A couple other things to keep in mind that I'll add from my vantage point also, like obviously we all talk a lot about how much they pay, but there's other factors that differentiate different companies. One of them is the impact it has on your website, your site speed, your setup, your stack, and how committed you are to that. Like you talked about with niche pursuits, you have a very dedicated stack that you use, and that wasn't going anywhere. That limits you with some and not with others, but also just site speed in general, and how the different ad units are going to affect the speed of your site, because those are loading in real time. We actually did a site audit at my agency yesterday where a certain ad network was loading and they were sending out a lot of bids for the specific ad unit to load, and we could see that, right? So they have different impacts on site speed as well. That's something that you should also pay attention to. Customer service, some are better, some are not as good. And when we say not as good, not as responsive, not as fast, not as willing to maybe do all the work for you, or some are. So, there's other factors to consider too. And if, as you theorize, they're mostly pulling from the same repository and mostly paying the same rates, these types of things can really differentiate what you need and what you want out of a company.
Yes, absolutely. And they do have different ad share rates, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so that actually could make a little bit of a difference in how much you actually make, right? They might pay out,
75%.
75% versus 80,
Yep.
Versus 90, depending on where you're at or what level you're at or different things like that. Anyways, there's a lot of sort of pricing details that you can dive into as well. But I will echo the, make sure that site speed, tech stack is working well for your site. And if possible, use third-party tools and use your own independent sort of person to look at your site and say, okay, this is really the impact of these ads on your site.
Look at it on mobile.
Yep, absolutely. And so
that ad unit you're loading might be great on desktop and then might just destroy the mobile view.
Right. And so each individual ad network could be very different for mobile, for site speed, for rev share, for customer service, all of these things. And so, even though at the end of the day, maybe you should be making about the same, there's, half a dozen other factors that really could go into this to push you over the edge one way or another. So
that wasn't so bad. I thought we were burning the boats here, just going for it. No, that's a healthy, I think that's a good conversation. A lot of people have been in this space for a long time, know a lot of things we talked about, but man, I wish I could have heard that 10 minutes, that 15 minutes during my first year or two of trying to understand, oh, wait, you can monetize with ads? I don't just have to sell products? Wait, there's so many options. Oh my goodness, how do I factor all these things in?
Yeah, exactly. So let's maybe move on from that story, but an unfortunate incident there with Ezoic, and a former employee caused quite a stir over there. So we'll move on from that and move on to something more a little more niche, if you will, here. So we're gonna jump into, I think, our shiny objects shenanigans here, and kind of share what we're working on, our little projects that are our side projects, our niche, very side projects. And I'm going to share a new one this week. I know that I've been talking a lot about my YouTube channel, and last time I shared that it hit 1,000 subscribers, so we can get monetized. So there's not much else to share.
I stole your thunder last week. I kind of told everyone that you hit 1,000. Sorry. I took that moment away from you.
I was aware that you did that, and so that is okay. We hit 1,000 subscribers, but now we need to wait until the channel kind of gets approved for Google AdSense. We just submitted it. It can take a few weeks, so we're just waiting. But I have another little side project that I wanted to talk about that I think is interesting. I am approved for the Amazon Influencer Program. Mm-hmm. And the Amazon Influencer Program, basically what I'm doing with it anyways, is you can post videos directly on Amazon, the product pages, and if people watch a portion of those videos and make a purchase, I can make a commission. It's very similar to the Amazon Associates Program. It's essentially a part piece of the Amazon Associates Program. It's called On Amazon Commissions. It's commissions you earn directly from the product pages. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but what I'm finding is that I just do not have the time and energy to create all of the videos myself. I thought, I'm going to be gung-ho. I'll maybe do one or two of these product review videos myself. I'll just upload them to Amazon and then go to the bank, in a couple of months. Well, it turns out, my bigger projects are actually pulling more of my time than this fun side project. And so I've decided to try and outsource it. And so just this past week, I actually hired 5 videographers, 5 people on Upwork that can do product reviews for me. And so they've recorded, some of them recorded over 10 videos for me. And so I've got a backlog now of probably 30 or 40 videos that I need to upload to Amazon, and I can hopefully start making some commissions on. So this is kind of fun, moving this project along. I'm paying for it. I'm losing a little bit of money in the first few months here, but hopefully over the long term, it's going to be profitable.
Now, you've had a couple videos up for a little while now. How are those doing?
Yeah,
I'm guessing good enough to move forward on something like this with outsourcing it.
yeah, I created, I think, 6 total videos myself, and I'm making about $40 a month off of those.
Okay. Okay.
And so, it's not a ton, but yeah, doing the calculations of, gosh, even if a video can make you $10 a month, over time, the numbers should, pencil out and be profitable.
Just a curiosity, is it like consistent earnings in terms of like it's like a daily thing, or do you kind of just randomly get these spikes out of nowhere? I'm just curious if it follows a similar pattern to kind of having a product review on your website.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar in that it's fairly consistent. It's kind of earning within a bandwidth. We're talking about such small numbers.
It's true.
Here that it's, $1 to $2 a day maybe, right? That is pretty consistent. A couple of the videos are really bringing in 80% of the earnings at this point, which is kind of typical with, product reviews that you read on your blog as well. This is, again, it's at this point almost 100% outsourced little project again that is fun, is exciting. I actually just instructed my virtual assistant yesterday, gave them instructions on how to actually upload the videos to Amazon for me. So somebody else is creating the videos, and now I've got my VA actually uploading and sort of tagging the products and making sure the videos are published on Amazon directly.
I remember you saying, I think we must have talked about this at some point. I hope it was on the air. I'm recording, so
I think
people will
so.
be able to reference what I'm talking about. But didn't you say that, hey, you have, niche site project 4, like you got to kind of stay in your lane with that on Google, but on Amazon, once you're approved to the influencer program, you can make videos about pretty much anything, right?
That's right. And that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So it's a
jewelry
broad...
and canoes and, skylights and whatever else.
Exactly. It's all over the board. And I don't know if people are interested in any of this. Maybe they're fast forwarding this whole section. I don't know. But I was really trying to rack my brain of, okay, how do I get these reviewers product? And what product do they review? Do I have to buy a new product and ship it to them, and then they review it and do an unboxing? And what I settled on is I decided, you know what? I bet there's so many people out there like me that have hundreds of products they've already purchased on Amazon, that they could just review those that they already have. And so that's what I did. Is as part of my job posting, I sort of explained what I was looking for. And people that were interested, and I got tons of applicants, by the way, I'm having them review products they've already purchased.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so
it's
I
so
don't
easy.
have
Just
any...
go in your purchase history and just go boom, 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 and just start reviewing it.
Right. And so at this point, I have no product cost. I have no shipping cost. I'm just paying for their time. I pay them an hourly rate. Most of them said, hey, I'm $30 an hour or whatever it is. Right. So call it, $30 to $40 per video is about what I'm paying to have it done. And they're just reviewing products they already have sitting around their house. This might flop completely, but I figure, hey, I'm going to invest a couple $1,000s. It's a fun project. And, I'll know after a couple $1,000s if these are starting to gain some traction and earn some money. So,
well, as I always say, I love that you test these things and we get to learn and hear the results.
Absolutely. I'm gonna keep sharing. So I feel like I've done enough talking here. Jared, what do you got going on?
Well, I'm doing the newsletter. We've talked about this. If you've listened to past, news episodes we've had, I'm growing a newsletter, committed to trying to grow a newsletter, and probably 4 or 5 weeks in now. So, sticking with the goal of sending 12 weeks worth of emails, 1 email a week. We're still on target. An update on the video. The video should be done later this week. As always, when you bring someone on to do some new task, there's a lot of back and forth trying to kind of get things done. The first draft, actually, from the person that I ended up settling on for the editing was really good. It could have gone live as it was, but knowing that this was going to be something I wanted to do on and on, we spent the time going back and forth to try to get that first video 95% of the way there, right? So then there's like this template that we have to work off of. So going forward, we can kind of expect videos that are even better as part of that process. But In the last couple of weeks, what I've tried, I thought I'd share here, because this is a good tactic for people to put into practice. It's already having great results, is we'll send out the email, and we send out one email a week, right? So I only have time to write one email a week. And by the way, that's time consuming enough as it is. I have tried to use ChatGPT to help, but it just doesn't sound like me, and it's not in depth enough. So I'm either not prompting it right, or it's just not quite the right fit for a very personal style email. That aside, these emails take a while, so I can only produce one a week. And I send it out, and the open rates are 50 to 60%, which I'm really happy with. But at the same time, there's still 40 to 50% of the people who are on the list who just joined in the last month because I just started it. So they're not like they're old and unengaged. There's 40 to 50% that aren't getting it. And so what we're doing is waiting until Friday, taking that group of people that didn't open it, going to ChatGPT, saying, hey, here's my original subject line that I sent. Here's, generally speaking, what the email is about. Can you please give me 10 prompt or 10 subject line ideas for another email to send to people who didn't open this? In other words, people who didn't engage with this first one. And it will spit back 10 pretty darn good ideas.
Yeah.
And so I'll pick the one that I think is the best, maybe tweak it a bit. We'll resend the email on Friday. And I'm just looking over things here. On average, it's re-engaging. The open rates on these are 20 to 30%.
Wow.
And so these are people who otherwise wouldn't have opened the email, wouldn't have seen it. And, 3 days later are getting another email with a little bit of a different subject line. And so it's working really well. Unsubscribes are very low, so it's not like it's bothering people. So anyways, we use that strategy at our agency when we're doing email marketing on behalf of people. And a couple weeks in, I thought, why wouldn't we use it here? So, but it's having good results.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. It's something that I do as well. Resending to the unopens with a new subject line, right? Maybe they either just missed it or that original subject line just didn't catch their attention. And you can really bump up the number of active subscribers that are on your list. Doing your numbers, if you're getting, what did you say, almost like 50% are opening the original, and then you're getting another 20 to 30%, right? So you're talking like 70% really are getting that newsletter after you send to the unopens.
Yeah. By the time you're done with it and all the percentages add up, I think we're at 63 to 68% of people who are on the list week in, week out are now opening the email, whereas without that, it'd be more like 50% or so.
Yeah. So what's your number one source of subscribers right now? What's working?
Twitter. And ironically, and this is the same, we know this with everything. You referenced it earlier. 80% of your revenue from the influencer program is coming from one or two videos. I could point back to 2 tweets that have driven the bulk of the subscribers. And yet I've mentioned the newsletter in different tweets throughout the last 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know how many times, I haven't kept track, but more than 10 at least, probably nearing maybe 20, I'm just guessing. And I know for a fact it's been 2 tweets that have driven the vast majority of people to sign up for the newsletter. So.
And you probably tried to replicate those 2 tweets.
Oh, yeah. Every tweet I send out, I'm like, this could be the one.
This is the lightning in the bottle that we need. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I still haven't figured out the Twitter algorithm perfectly, but every once in a while, you get something that just takes off, and it can do good things. So
it really can. So anyways, awesome. That is an update on the Shiny Update. I hope by next week we'll have that video live and I can talk about that process more in depth and whatnot.
Yeah. Yep. We'll chat about that for sure next week. So it's time. This is what everybody's been waiting for, I'm sure. This is at least what I'm most interested in talking about. Is our 2 weird niche sites. We've got each of us have a weird niche site that we can talk about. The one that I'm going to share, and again, hat tip to the Niche Pursuits community here for sharing this. Let me share my screen. And boy, it's just, I don't know where people come up with these ideas. This one is sleepinginairports.net. Sleepinginairports.net. This is an entire website dedicated to, I guess, optimizing for sleeping in airports. Yeah, the guide to sleeping in airports. Are you stuck in an airport? Do you have a long layover? Would you like to save money on an airport hotel by sleeping in the airport? And they've got all sorts of guides, right? Things to do on a layover, out airport lounges, airport hotels. They've of course have expanded a little bit into what to do during a layover. But this site, if I can go to the correct tab, here we go on Ahrefs, you can see it's doing all right. It's ranking for 137,000 keywords. It gets organic traffic of just over 46,000, right? As we've talked about, probably means the site itself is getting 150,000 visitors a month, something like that. We don't know for sure. It looks like it actually used to be higher a couple years ago. And so some of the keywords that they're ranking for are some of their airport reviews, like Fort Lauderdale Airport, sleeping in airports, can you sleep in an airport, hotels by the airport, JFK sleep pods, and on and on. So it's a very unique niche topic, and I would definitely categorize it as a little weird. But they're taking a what I would call a traditional niche site model, where it's informational content. And as you see, if I go to the right tab, when you click, you're getting display ads, right? So they're monetized with probably one of the ad networks that we talked about at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It actually is Ezoic. There it is, right? So this site is monetized with Ezoic, and they've got a lot of content related to airports and sleeping in airports.
Well, we know because we've interviewed people on the podcast before that hotels pay wonderful affiliate rates. Travel in general can be very lucrative. Here's something I noticed, because I snuck into the doc a little ahead of time, so I had a few things to say about it. But it seems like they're crowdsourcing most of their reviews. It looks like they ask travelers to actually give their opinions, and they build these reviews, like the best airports to sleep in, off of these reviews, which is, first off, kind of a lot of what Google asks us to do, right? Like with all this EEAT stuff, but also you don't even have to be a traveler to put the site together necessarily. It's really an interesting model.
Right, it is. And, they've probably got a little bit of programmatic SEO going on here. At least they pulled in, every airport or city that starts with an S.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
and so I can't imagine they have content for every single one of these. But I don't know. Maybe they do. But you're right. There's a couple different spots where you can jump in and write reviews. Yeah, almost on every single one of these, they're asking you to, write a review and get some of that crowdsourced content going. So smart website, do they have a social media following? Account suspended. Okay, they're
it does look like
on Twitter.
It does look like they haven't updated maybe as much since COVID hit. Maybe that's part of it too. Travel has had their ups and downs throughout the last couple of years, and by ups, they've had some great ups as well, but certainly some downs.
Yeah. So fun niche site, weird niche site. Again, we're just here to inspire and entertain. So you've got one for us. I'm going to share my screen as you start talking about this.
Very similar in metrics to the one you just had, actually. So this is a DR64, ranking for 127,000 keywords. It is the Brick Fan. And for those of you listening, not watching, this is a Lego website. And it makes sense. So again, how did I find this niche site? I didn't ask the Niche Pursuits community, but I love that idea, and I might use that going forward. But my daughter just had her birthday and got a bunch of Legos for her birthday and is obsessed with building Legos. And so I landed on this site for other reasons, not research related, but thought this was the perfect site. This site is very active. This is clearly another example of a site that just people passionate. They talk not just about Lego news. There was something that was posted today you could see on the homepage there, but also about a lot of different types of Lego sets and whatnot. There's 7,240 pages indexed according to Ahrefs. If you look at like the traffic graph, it's pretty steady throughout the last 5-10 years, in terms of the traffic that Ahrefs expects it to get. But the thing about it is that it's really under monetized. I looked it up. It looks like according to Lego.com and their affiliate program, they pay 3%, so not great. But again, if you're getting this kind of traffic, you can probably negotiate that up. I did find like they did a top 10 Lego sets of 2016. It's not monetized. It hasn't been updated, right? And I think you had it up on the screen there earlier. Like there are a lot of buying intent keywords around Lego.
Yeah,
Look at all of those.
Best Lego sets, best Lego games, best Lego storage, best Harry Potter Lego sets, best Lego cars, all sorts of things.
Best Lego games for Switch, best adult Lego sets, best Lego minifigures. So, I mean, again, another opportunity where this site we have here is, I mean, geez, with that many pages and with the opportunities they have is, in theory, like Lego, they are topically authoritative in the Lego category, right? Like just, you'd think they could publish some of these buying guides and really rank well for those and make a lot more money.
Right. And do we know how many or how much traffic they're getting here? I'm just pulling this up. So it looks like they're getting a decent amount of traffic, right?
Yeah, let's see. I think I have it up here.
It's like 38,000. I think I'm sharing the screen with the Brick Fan on Ahrefs now. You're getting 38,000 organic visitors a month, a DR of 64.
What's odd is and this is an odd thing about Ahrefs, everybody should know this. If you go to the overview here, you will see, it must have dropped a lot. When I prepared this, it was getting a lot more. I think they must have had a pretty big drop in the recent update. They were at 58,000 a week ago.
Yeah, there's some swings you can see here. Yeah, it was up near 60 or whatever, and then looks like that happens a lot. So
it does.
It's probably not necessarily their site and probably just data imperfections here.
Right. So 38 to 58, like somewhere in that range. And as we know, Ahrefs Underperforms could very well be a 100,000 page view a month site from organic traffic.
They rank number 2 for Lego News, which is their largest keyword.
And again, think about the social media side of this business. Think about the email marketing side of this business. I mean, if you get a group of passionate Lego fans and you're publishing content every day as it is, I mean, what an email play you could have there. What a social media play you could have here.
Yeah, I love it. Lego rumors, right? Apparently 1,500 people a month are searching for Lego rumors. I chuckle because it's not something I would search for, but I do know there are very passionate Lego fans. I apologize if I'm chuckling at your very serious hobby.
I wouldn't expect anyone to be searching for marathon rumors, but perhaps you do.
That next week's weird niche site, I just thought of it.
You have one?
Yes, there's a marathon-related weird niche site that, yes, there are people very interested in marathon rumors, and I won't reveal it, but stay tuned. Literally, when you mention that, there's a site that I do follow in my weird, specific marathon life.
We all have one of these where it's like, nobody really watches this except for a couple weirdos like us. I know I have a few.
Yeah, the one I'll share, I don't think makes much money, but it's hilarious.
Oh,
so
good. Well, we already have our tease for next week then.
That's right. Oh man, I'm excited. And it's perfect timing because I am running the Boston Marathon on Monday, which is less than a week from today. It's just another 5 days, I think. And so I'm running the Boston Marathon for the third time. I'm sure most listeners don't care, but this is what's going on in my personal life. So I'm going to be traveling a bit more this weekend and on Monday. And so I'm excited for that, of course. And I'll have a marathon-related weird niche site that I can share next week. So,
well, good luck. Next week we'll get to hear how it went, and we'll get to talk marathons in the weird niche section.
Yep. Absolutely. So I think this is a good one, Jared. I think we covered a couple good weird niche sites, a couple big news topics, hopefully things that people are curious about and would want to know as far as digital marketing news. Any final thoughts or anything else that you want to add before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, it's nice because next week's already kind of playing itself out a bit. We'll talk more about how this new product or just review update is going. We've got some niches to talk about. There's never any shortage of of news to go through, and then hopefully we might have an update. I mean, I'm telling you, people are very interested in this Faceless YouTube channel, so hopefully we'll have an update there as well. So lots to look forward to next week.
That's right. Yep, we'll keep sharing the news as it comes. And so thank you, everybody, for listening to This Week in Niche Pursuits News, and we will absolutely be back next week. Thanks again.
See ya. Today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a masterpiece PR link building campaign. With 20 links in big publications such as The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and still landing, I would say this campaign is a massive success. We told the press that people should turn on their heating this summer if they want to save money next winter. And we landed over 20 links in national and regional UK publications for our boiler client. That's crazy. The campaign hook was pretty clever. It is a known fact, at least in the boiler trade, that if you keep your boiler off for many months, it might rust and it might get you into trouble if you keep it turned off from spring to next winter. We therefore advise the press, with an expert commentary piece, on behalf of our boiler client, that people should turn on their boilers this summer just when the heat wave is in full swing. This way they can avoid a boiler failure next winter and save money. Massive publications picked up our story, including The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and a few more dozen publications, giving our client links, lots of links, and lots of happiness hormones. No wonder that so many journalists covered our story, as this headline is a massive link magnet to their audience. This case study highlights the fact that a clever hook can be applied to any insight or story to make a campaign more successful and more compelling to journalists. Can you imagine when people see this headline in the news, "You should turn on your boiler this summer"? There's no way they would not click on it. I would click on it. So this was the hook, and this is why this campaign was so successful. I hope this video inspires and shows you what's possible with a clever hook.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.